This client, the father's been a friend of mine since the mid-'80s when he was a broker, brokering Robert Pepi wines, my father's and my winery back in the mid-'80s, Steve Krebs. He's got an illustrious background in the wine business, in sales. But I knew him really well. Even after I left the family winery, Steve and I stayed in touch. Whenever he was in the valley, he looked me up. And I knew he was changing from his own little brokerage to working with the Rothschilds. And then they started this new business, and they moved their office to Napa Valley with the owner of Flora Springs, where they were selling Flora Springs wine with the idea they were going to start expanding that to import wines after Flora Springs got settled. And that was when I first started. He talked about importing wines, and I said, you know, when you're ready to import something from South America, I've got an Argentine wine that I'm pretty proud of that I've been making. And so that was the impetus. Valentine Bianchi, that I'd been consulting for at the time for about 10 years, a little less, came on board with Quintessential as their first import wine from anywhere. And then they've quickly picked up import wines from Italy and Spain and Germany and Alsace, all over the world, Australia, and some more from Chile. So that was the first one I brought them, and then shortly thereafter, they said they wanted me to make some wines for them. Find some bulk wine that they can make a K Syrah, Petite Syrah blend. And fortunately, we couldn't find any wine we liked that well on the bulk market, but we stumbled across a Petite Syrah from Lake County that we really liked, and there was some grapes available from this vineyard. So that was the first wine I made for Quintessential under the Two Angels brand. So it was a Petite Syrah from Lake County. We're still making it. It's been a lot of fun. I think what I like about it is I don't know if there's another winemaker that makes it quite like I do. We all have our different ideas about everything, which is what making wine fun. But you know, Petite Syrah is one of those varieties where you just look at the grapes and they give up color and flavor. And all I wanted to do was try to tame the tannins a little bit. So what we did was do some cold soaking, but then a typical normal fermentation, get the temperatures up to 75 degrees to extract some color and flavor. But what I decided was, after 2/3 of the way through fermentation, you've got all the color, all the flavor from the fruit that you'd want. So I started pressing at 7 or 8 bricks, 9 bricks. And I had everything I needed. I had the structure, I had the flavor, I had the color. And it kept me from getting those harsher tannins that you develop toward the end of fermentation when alcohol is present. So the only thing we might give up is maybe a little complexity. I kind of doubt it. But what you've got is this really nice, bright, fruity Petite Syrah that's as big as any other Petite Syrah. The tannins are a little bit easier to swallow and more fruit-friendly than a lot of Petite Syrahs out there. So that was the impetus for the first wine. A year after that, we noticed there was some Sauvignon Blanc in these vineyards. And again, both of these vineyards are in, well, right now we're getting a Petite Syrah from Red Hills, another great spot in Lake County. But most of the early Petite Syrah and all the Sauvignon Blanc still comes from High Valley appellation at 2,200 feet elevation. So I'm excited about that. I think Lake County, although it doesn't have the reputation of Sonoma or Napa, probably produces the Rhone varieties and Petite Syrah and Sauvignon Blanc as well as anybody in California. So that's been a fun thing to do with the Two Angels label. It's actually the first piece of art from the 1600s that was, they like to say, first drinking responsible ad. So there's two angels on this label. One is enjoying the joy of drinking the night before, and the other one is not feeling quite as well the next morning. So these are supposed to be the two boys of the Krebs family too. So anyways, that's the first one. After the Bianchi was brought on board. And then about 4 years ago, we stumbled across a Cabernet vineyard in Napa Valley in Oak Knoll, which is becoming a better known region just east. Well, actually, it's a little north of Napa. It goes east and west of Highway 29. This one's west. And we've been making a Saint Charles Cabernet from there. Oak Knoll tends to be a little bit more restrained than a lot of the bigger Napa Valley cabs, but still it's got that structure that's easily identified with Cabernet, the broad shoulders, but maybe some more restrained tannins. So that was the second wine I made. We're now making a Samuel Charles Sauvignon Blanc, also from Lake County, but a little different style than the Two Angels.